That skill presents removing common factors. Recall that an algebraic expression is comprised of terms separated by the plus or minus signs between them. Factorizing an algebraic expression, factorizing essentially means rewriting the expression as a product of its factors. And to be able to do that, your first job is to find the GCF of the terms and take it out of a parenthesis and put the rest inside a parenthesis after you have taken out the GCF, whatever is left from each of the terms, so that when you distribute the GCF that's outside the parentheses on each of the terms inside, you get back the original expression. Let me show you an example. Let's say we want to factorize the expression. Factorize 6x squared plus 15x. Now if you look at these two terms, 6x squared and 15x, and look at the constants on both of them, 6 and 15, the greatest common factor between 6 and 15 is 3. 6 is 3 times 2 and 15 is 3 times 5. So you want to rewrite this as something outside a parenthesis. A part of it is 3, the greatest common factor between the constants, and then something inside the two terms with the plus sign in between them. Now if you look at the variable portions, x square and x. Now x square is nothing but x times x. The GCF of x square and x is x. So we are going to also take out the x and say that the GCF of these two terms is 3x or 3 times x. Now if you take a 3x out of the 6x square, what are you left with? Which means essentially divide 6x square with 3x. 6 divided by 3 is 2. You multiply 3 with 2, you get 6. And then x times x is going to give you x squared. In the same way, 3 times 5 is 15. And then you have an x here, you already have an x here. So it's like saying x times what is x? Well, that's a 1. You may or you may not write that 1 over here. And so the factored form of 6x squared plus 15x is 3x. Inside parentheses, we have a 2x plus 5. So that when you distribute the 3x on this and on this, like I was saying over here, 3x times 6x is 6x squared, 3x times 5 is 15x. So you need to get back the original expression. If you do, you got the right factors. If you do not, time for you to check your work. Let's look at another example. Let's say we want to factorize 5p squared plus 10p cubed or 10p raised to the third power. Now if you look at 5 and 10, the GCF, the greatest common factor, is obviously 5. So you write down a parenthesis, a plus between the two terms inside the parenthesis. We are going to soon find out what these two terms will be. Now because the GCF between the constants is 5, I'm going to take a 5 outside, and then also p squared or p raised to the second power is a p times p, and then p raised to the third power is p times p times p. So at least there are 2 p's in both of them, and that becomes the GCF, the p squared. You take out a 5p squared. Now if you think about this 5p squared, what needs to be multiplied with this 5p squared to get 5p squared? And the answer is 1. 5p squared times 1 is 5p squared. And what do you need to multiply 5p squared with to get 10p cubed? 5 times 2 is 10. and p squared times p is p cubed. So this is the factored form. Let's try another one. How about something like 18a square b plus 12ab square is equal to, open parentheses, close parentheses, a plus, because we have a plus in between. GCF of 18 and 12 is 6, the greatest common factor, so I'm going to take a 6 out. And if you look at a square b, let me just break that down. A times a is a square times b, and if you look at ab squared, that's a times b, and therefore the common factor between these two is at least one a. We have an a on both of them. We do not have two a's on this one, so do not take this a. Similarly, we have one b on both of them, and therefore we are going to take out a and a b and say that the greatest common factor between 18a square b and 12ab square is 6ab. Now if you take a 6ab out of 18a square b, 6 times 3 is 18, write down a 3. Now if you take a out, imagine taking this a out, and if you take a b out, imagine taking this b out. What's left from a square b? We only have a left, so I'm going to write a over here to make this term 3a. And then similarly, if you take a 6 out of 12, you have a 2. 6 times 2 is 12. And then if you take a out and a b out, you're left with a b. And therefore the factored form of 18a square b plus 12ab square is going to be equal to 6ab times 3a plus 2b. Hope that helps.